Just want to ask you about your last week, obviously welcoming your new son. Can you just walk us through what last week was like for you and your family?
Yeah, there was a lot going on for sure. It's kind of hard to sit back and take it all in. I'm sure I'll do that when I get to Vancouver. But obviously, going into the week, we had an induction day on Wednesday with my wife, and over the weekend prior to that, I had spoken really for the first time with the Canucks people in a while, and knew that maybe something was going to go on. So kind of respectfully said, give me the end of the week here to spend time with my family and be there for Owen. And his birth went great. Natalie and him are doing awesome, and the girls love having him at home here. So it's been a pretty awesome week. And then obviously to get home from the hospital and get settled down and find out that we were pretty close on an extension. It's a pretty exciting weekend overall. I feel really lucky and just glad the family's healthy, and it's really all you can ask for.
Considering how this summer had gone in terms of talks, what does it mean to you to have the deal settled prior to you departing your summer home and getting here for training camp?
Yeah, it means a lot. I think it's, if anybody in the same situation would think that that's important, it's probably important on both ends. I think that's, it's something I could just kind of, I know there's a lot of talks of me, potentially shutting off talks when I got there, but, nothing was finalized from that standpoint. But, I think it might free me up to play, even a more consistent level of hockey, and to know that, there's a commitment there. So I'm really excited to be obviously spending this chapter of my life and my hockey career in Vancouver, and to get it out of the way before camp, just so I can focus and be clear-minded and have a clear head is it's exciting.
Brendan Batchelor, Sportsnet 650.
Hey, JT, congratulations on the contract. Just your thoughts on the hockey club here and the group of players that you're going to head into the season with. Obviously, there's a few new additions that the management group has made over the summer. What do you think about the group that you have, and what do you think you guys might be able to accomplish this year?
Yeah, there's a couple of great adds, especially in the forward group. I still think we still have a ton of confidence from last year. We talked a lot last year about knowing we have a good team in that locker room. It's just going to get better with time. And, I think the time maybe is coming a little faster now. I think that, our depth up front, especially with the additions of Mikheyev and Curtis, I think it's, we have, 9 to 10 guys that can literally play wherever in the lineup. And that's, it's awesome. And 4 really solid lines. And obviously our D-core last year, we defended really well with our group. So a lot of reasons to be excited. I certainly have a high expectation for our group this year, and I'm sure everybody else does as well. And just really to continue off of how we played, when Bruce got there last year.
Yeah, and having Bruce back for another season, does that add to what you talk about in terms of building off the momentum of last year, and how important will all of that be to having a good start to the season?
Yeah, we're all excited that Bruce is back. Obviously it was a great fit from the day he got there, and I know he's excited to be back as well. I think we learned a lot about start to seasons and how important they are. And we all know the track record of teams that are, out of it by a certain point there. It's hard to climb back in. And, we were a prime example of that. So, we need to be ready from, time training camp starts and carry that momentum into, through preseason into game one and enjoy doing it. It's going to be fun when we're winning games. I think we realized that last year, and, it's going to be a fun time for everybody if we play well.
Ian McIntyre, Sportsnet.
Hi, JT. Congratulations to you and your family on Owen. That's fantastic. Brian Bartlett said that you left money on the table, which, if you look at $56 million, it seems there's a lot of money on the table. But did you feel like you pushed for every last dollar? And if you didn't, why didn't you?
Well, it's a lot of money, and I feel very fortunate to be in the spot I'm in. Honestly, no, I probably didn't scratch, but at the same time, we thought that we were going for an offer that was fair on my end. And the trumping factor is that I want to be in Vancouver, and I love this group of guys, and I want to win in Vancouver. And I still believe that we have the team that could do it there. And, every single year that, our group's there, we're just going to get better and better. And I think that was, from a money standpoint, it's really not my job to evaluate, if I left money on the table here and there, but, I'm happy as all get out with the deal, and I'm just glad it's done. And, like I said on the first question, I think I could just be a little more clear-headed and moving forward. And, I'm excited it's in Vancouver.
And I think a lot of progress was made on the deal in a short time towards the end. Was any part of you surprised that it came to this conclusion? Because at times it looked pretty bleak as far as finding a solution, but with the salary cap.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. At that point, I really wasn't focused on whether an extension or whatever was going to happen. I was, my wife was 38 weeks pregnant. I was worried about taking care of her and the kids and, getting her to the hospital and whenever the baby was going to come. So I wasn't very distracted with the contract stuff. It's funny how timing works, that it happens pretty quickly around the same week as the birth of your first son. So it was an amazing week, no doubt.
Patrick Johnston, Post Media.
JT, you're in such a unique spot in a career. You get to pick where you live. You've talked so much about your family. Picking Vancouver is a choice. It's every city would have been a choice, but it's a different place. It's a different country. What can you tell us about picking Vancouver as a place that you want to be and you and your family want to be in the years to come?
Well, I think first and foremost, the opportunity I've been given here since I've been here and how welcoming the organization and the players and the coaches have been and the management for me and my family. We have good relationships with a lot of the players and wives, and I still think we have a good hockey team. I know we missed the playoffs, and if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, I thought we played a really good season to a certain point last year. Can we be better? No doubt, but the potential we have, and I think we're going to hit the ground running and surprise a lot of people this year. And at the end of the day, it's a business and it's work. And, I want to be where we're going to have a good hockey team. And we have a lot of good things to be excited about in Vancouver. And, I'm a family guy and I like to spend time at home, but it doesn't really matter how far away that is at this point. I just want to win and I want to be at a place where we feel comfortable and we have good relationships, and we kind of have all three of those there.
And then just as a leader, you talked a little bit last year about learning about yourself, about sort of, I think you said, the power of your own voice and how that can cut both ways, and realizing that, I took that to mean you realizing how you have to be impactful in what you say. You can be passionate, but it has to have a purpose. I'm wondering how you kind of came to that realization. Was that you just getting older? Was that you having a family? Was that, what was that?
Probably just getting older and your role changing. At some point you mature to a certain level, and I think that hopefully keeps getting better and better as the older I get. But obviously the role I have in Vancouver and the position I'm in, I think that like I always say, you can the best voice carries by your play, and if you play well, it's the best way to lead. So try to worry about that, but I think at the same time, like we always talk about, I'm a talkative guy, and I enjoy that part of sports, and something I'm trying to get better at every year.
Farhan Lalji, TSN.
Congratulations again, JT. I want to ask you about just Bruce's comments that you are the number one center. He's repeatedly said that. Do you feel that way? And if so, what does that mean to you?
That's a tricky question to answer, I guess, without saying anything stupid. I don't know. It's the role my coach puts me in. I try to worry about myself, and wherever I'm slotted into the lineup, it doesn't matter. I think that as I've been there, with Travis, I played, second and third line, and I don't think it really matters. I think I could find a way to chip in on any line. But I guess your question, it means a lot that he's saying that. I think Bruce and I have a good relationship so far. He's definitely challenging me on a nightly basis, and I want it. I embrace that, and whether it's, first line center or third line wing, it doesn't matter. I just want our team to be good. And, I want a big opportunity and a big role like everybody else, but I just worry about myself. And, if I play well, I think those opportunities will come.
There's been a lot of talk about this defense needing to improve. And that's not just from us media guys. Even Jim and Patrick have admitted that from time to time. And that was a big focus this offseason. And that wasn't necessarily able to happen. And it was tough to manage, contract negotiations plus that. What's your take on the defensive group and whether or not, it's where it should be without singling any names out?
Well, I think, that's, the forward group, and we play as a 5-on-5, a 5-man unit. I think it's a 5-man defense, if you ask me. If the forwards have a bad night and turn the pucks over, we're putting a lot of pressure on our defensive players and our goaltender. And, I think a lot of the times, I think defending wasn't really our issue. It was our team play that bit us in the butt, and we kind of were our own worst enemy. So, I'm not worried about our defense at all. I don't really pay attention to, maybe what you guys think are the issues. I think when we played well last year, everybody was defending well. You know, you have to play a good 5-on-5, 200-foot game, and everybody's going to look good. And you know, you can't just take the bad nights out of that, in my opinion. I think it's a team defense game. And, you know, when we're on our top of our game, like every good team in the league, we're hard to play defensively.
Emma Karsten Smith, Canadian Press.
Hi, JT. Congrats on both the new addition and the new contract. Obviously, there have been a lot of big contracts handed out to free agents over the past few months here. I'm wondering how closely you were following that and whether it played into your decisions at all.
I mean, you obviously know who signs, I guess. I'm not paying too closely attention to that. It was a slow summer for, I guess, to get where we got, how quickly we did at the end there. But, you know, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. You know, you're obviously aware of who signs for what. And there were some very big numbers for some forwards this summer. So obviously it's hard to ignore that. All really good players in the NHL. And I guess it really didn't impact my decision. You know, there's a market out there for players. And I'm sure that does matter to some point. But, you know, it's kind of out of my control.
You talked a couple of times about wanting to play here and wanting to win with this team. What is it about this group that makes it so special?
Well, I think we've come a long way, and you know, I think we've gotten a tighter knit as I've been here. It's gonna be my 4th year here already, and you know, a lot of some familiar faces, a lot of new faces too. But you know, this group really enjoys each other's time. Like we like each other. It's just a fun group. When we won last year a lot, when Bruce got there, we had a lot of fun, and I think we want to do more. And winning in the regular season is great, but that's not why we play. And I think that if we can, you know, we want to get back to the playoffs and we want to win when it counts, because I think we're just going to, you know, for a lot of guys that haven't played, you know, a playoff building and a playoff series in front of fans, it's a different beast. And I think that it's a contagious thing. And that's what's so exciting about it, guys. I think the best yet to come.
Jeff Patterson, Rinkwide.
Hey, JT, like everybody else, congrats on the deal. You asked repeatedly that you don't pay a whole lot of attention to what's going on around you, but I know that on the John Scott podcast, you did say that you were aware that you had been traded basically every day through the off season. I just wonder how much of the noise ultimately made its way to you, and how much did you choose to consume, or is it more, you know, family, friends, people telling you what they're hearing about your future?
Yeah, it's almost 100% just people, you know, everybody else has a Twitter and Instagram, and, you know, I have, you know, I don't pay attention, you know, I don't have it. So I don't really pay attention to that stuff. You know, the hockey community feels very tight knit once you know a lot of people. So it's basically just word of mouth to me, and definitely gets your mind to turn a little bit. And, you know, times it's harder than others, especially when it's not all that clear what your path in front of you is. But yeah, I mean, I thought we did a good job as a family of blocking out the noise, and it just seemed like the people on social media and just kind of drove themselves crazy is what it kind of felt like all summer with all the hypothetical scenarios. So it really wasn't as busy as you guys think it was.
And I just wonder too, for this team to take that next step, the component parts, and really in your time here, the power play has been a weapon, and it was under Bruce as well. Like, how excited are you just to bring back basically the same group as you guys grow together, and Quinn gets another year, and Elias hopefully hits the ground running instead of having to work his way into the season? How dangerous can the power play be, and how big a factor do you think it's going to be to leading you guys where you want to go?
It's a huge factor, and I think that's something we take a lot of pride in. You know, our group, since I've been there, has been in I don't know how we did in the COVID season, but, you know, I think we were top 10 last year and maybe top 5 the first year. So, you know, we have a high expectation, and that's, you know, creating momentum for the power play for the team is what we always talk about. But I think it's even higher than that. I think it's putting the puck in the net and being timely. And I think that last year we were really starting to catch our stride there, especially in the latter half of the season. And we have a very high expectation level for ourselves. So it's fun that we're going to have pretty much, you know, probably the exact same group, and we should just get better and better, and just more and more familiar, and being one step ahead is what the power play is about, and, you know, playing fast. And I think we're going to do that. So it's exciting.
Vic Nazar, Sportsnet 650.
Congratulations on everything, JT. You mentioned you had a clear head and this opportunity to be consistent. When you reflect on the three years you've had here, is that something that you maybe haven't had because you're coming to a new team, new country in year one, and then we have the pandemic season year 2, and obviously there's so much focus on your personal situation last year with trade talks and everything? Is that an opportunity to kind of have steady footing and have a clear head coming into this year that you haven't had prior?
Yeah, well, I'm sure all the chatter is not going to stop. I mean, it's never going to stop, and that's fine. But I feel like I have a job to do, and sometimes it's easy to get caught up in things, but it's just a distraction. It's a distraction whether you're the one paying attention to it or the people who are saying it. It's not what's the task at hand. And I look at that as right now having a good camp and getting back with the fellas and starting off the year on the right foot and having a way better start than last year. That's literally the only thing I'm worried about. Social media has taken over the world these days, and especially in the hockey community, it's so small. You feel like one little thing is leaked, and very easy to get wrapped up in that. So I try not to get wrapped up in that. I have plenty going on in my life, and I really don't even worry about it as much as people may think.
And does the contract or the money represent anything to you as far as the recognition of the type of player you become and placing you in a certain class of player? Because there isn't a lot of noise on certain types of players, so we would never trade this guy or this guy. Does this kind of contract put you in a certain class that you feel like, hey, I've always belonged here?
Well, I definitely didn't think I've always belonged here. This is, it's something I didn't realize or didn't really think I was capable of earning. I take a lot of pride in that. I don't come from a whole lot, my family, and it means a lot to us. It's very emotional. And, at the end of the day, it wasn't really, to a certain point about the money. I just want to be somewhere where I think that, we can win hockey games. I'm very fortunate in that sense. And, I feel very, very lucky. My family's good, and I want to come back and ready to get this season underway. It's going to be a very fun season for us. And like I said, I think we're going to catch a lot of people by surprise, but from the money standpoint, I just feel very lucky and fortunate. But I think I put in a lot of effort and a lot of hard work to get where I'm at.
We're just going to take a couple more here. Next up, Carol Schramm, Forbes Sports.
Hi, JT. Congratulations on everything that's happened this week. First off, I'd like to know, with the new baby and everything, when you and the family will be coming out to Vancouver.
Thanks. I'm coming up this weekend on Saturday, and my wife and the kids aren't coming back till that first road trip's over in October. There's a couple events my wife is a part of early on in October, and with the road trip, I think it makes more sense for her to hang home and be with family.
Great, thank you. And I listened to that John Scott podcast as well, and so I wanted to ask you about a couple of the points that you made about your own game, talking about wanting to bring a more sort of 200-foot effort, I guess, this season in terms of what you said, and also that line that you walk of sort of playing with your heart on your sleeve and being emotional and maybe trying to rein that in without pulling anything away from what makes you successful.
Yeah. I think there's always room for improvement in your game, but, I think I'd like to give up less to get more. I look at some of my favorite players around the league, and they play in their own end first and 200 foot all the time and very hard to play against. And I think I want to, kind of excel to that level in my own end, be equally as hard to play against in my own end as I am on the offensive end. And I don't feel like it is right now. So, that's something I'm really going to be working for. And, team defense is so important, like we just talked about. And I think if I can add that to my game, and then once we get it in the offensive zone, just play and do what comes natural for me is really going to help. So it's a big focus of mine going into this season. And I think any emotional player will tell you that brings the absolute best out of them, but also, make you look bad sometimes and be a negative influence for the ones around you. And, I take a lot of pride in that. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and that could be good sometimes. And sometimes it could be emotional and high volatility, and that's not really what you want. You want to be even keel, but sometimes I feel like that's harder for me to do because I play with so much emotion and passion, and it's something I'm always wary of and can improve on as well.
Chris Faber, Canucks Army.
Hey, JT, congrats on everything over the last week for you and your family. I kind of wanted to ask about, you guys have a change in the management group last year. These two guys come in with Patrick and Jim, who have won Stanley Cups. What about them made you want to lock in here for 7 years and kind of be a part of, I guess, kind of the new plan that they have set up for this team?
Well, it's just change. This team hasn't been, other than 1 year in the bubble, I don't think a playoff team in a very long time. And, I think it was time for change. I can't speak on behalf of anybody, but it's a hungry city for hockey. And those two have such a good track record of winning, especially in a couple organizations that, are very accustomed to that. And it's just another reason I want to be a part of that. Change is good sometimes. Sometimes it sucks to see friends or colleagues go, but it's another reason I'm excited to come back, because I think times are going to be changing, and like I keep saying, the best is yet to come. And with the group we still have there, is a no-brainer for me for all those reasons to want to come back.
And pretty much since he's come to the NHL, you've spoken very highly of Vasily Podkolzin, got a chance to play with him quite a bit last year as well. For him, I know the sophomore slump is something that we see in the NHL. This type of player, you kind of talked about it on the podcast that you were on, that, you know, big things changed once he felt more comfortable about it. And from talking to him so far, he feels really comfortable in Vancouver. What are your expectations for him? I mean, you've spoken very highly of him in the past.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say it again. He's one of my favorite players on the team. And, you know, I think his biggest attribute is how humble and how much he wants to learn. And I think that if you're playing like that all the time, it's going to be hard to have a slump. But, you know, it's going to be a hard year for him, but I think he's going to be up for the challenge and, you know, take it with stride. I know everybody's in his corner. He's such a great kid, like I keep saying. And I guess time will tell, but, you know, he's always in great shape, and, you know, that's not going to be the problem. And I know he's going to be excited, and, you know, the more comfortable he feels, just the better he's going to get. And, you know, I think we're all excited to have him on our team this year.
We'll take a final follow-up question from Thomas Strantz, The Athletic.
JT, you commented on sort of changes in the management suite, and yet when new management comes in, often you expect significant changes on the ice. That kind of hasn't happened. And in fact, your group, this core group you're excited to rejoin, has almost been doubled down on. What does that mean to you, and what does that change in terms of your personal expectations and the team's expectations going into this season?
It gives us a level of confidence, I think. You know, since I've been here, we've been a pretty good team with some very strange, you know, starts here and there, I guess. I mean, my first year we were a playoff team, and the second year was hardly a real season, I guess. It was very, very weird. And, you know, last year, other than the start, we made change and we're playing really well again. So I don't think we're far off, I guess is what I'm saying. And I feel like everybody thinks that we're pretty close and only going to get better and more mature as a group. And, you know, we're going to be very hard to handle, I think. So I think it shows confidence in our team that, you know, if you don't make a whole lot of moves, you know, hopefully we're not too far away. And like I keep saying, it's going to be very exciting. I think a lot of guys are really excited to start the season.
A lot of chatter in Canadian hockey media circles over the course of this summer about whether or not Canadian teams might have difficulty retaining players who are American-born on long-term deals. Obviously, you've now signed. Was it any factor for you? Is it a factor among the players that you train with in the summer or chat with during the off season? What's your take on it?
I'm assuming players just want to be closer to home. You know, there's really not much more else to say. I mean, it really doesn't pertain to me at all. I just signed for 7 years in Vancouver. So I don't know.